Getting to know the Penn State class of 22 and 23 players that are making their way to Happy Valley over the next couple of months. And today, four-star linebacker Abdul Carter joins the program. Abdul, thanks for making time for us today, which you told me before we came on air, we're coming live from the gym. So that's pretty good spot to be doing an interview about football, huh?
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about your senior season last year. Went 9-2 in the Philadelphia Catholic League, which is a murderer's row of good teams that send players on to Division I all the time. Just take me through like how your season went, how you feel you did, and maybe some things that stand out to you about your senior year.
Yeah, I think we started off real strong. We went about 7-0, 8-0. We had one loss towards the end of the season that unrailed us a little bit, but we got back on track and tried to finish as strong as possible. We couldn't get a job done eventually, but we gave it our all.
Yeah, and a stellar season from you. Just read off some of your stats from GoPSUSports.com. 78 tackles, 53 of those solo, 2 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 2 passes defensed, and a partridge in a pear tree. Did you leave any stats for your teammates? That's just my first question.
I mean, without my teammates, none of those stats is possible, so yeah.
Yeah, and a very good defense, I'd say, for Salle College High School. Very stout unit that you guys seem to play very well together. And we'll get to that. We'll talk about your film in just a little bit. Have you gotten a chance to get to new defensive coordinator Manny Diaz and your position coach over the last couple of months?
Yeah, I was with him yesterday, and I met him multiple times throughout the last couple of months, talked with him, getting to know him, getting to know the system, trying to fit in.
So Penn State fans are also trying to get to know him as well. So can you tell us what's he like? What is your impression of him, both as a coach but also as a person?
Well, from what I've seen, really good person, really good coach. He's very helpful when teaching you your job, what you got to do. He puts it out really straightforward and clean, so it's easy to understand. Overall, good person, good coach.
Feel like he's a good communicator. What sort of things were you picking up? Because I know I think you were at practice recently. What sort of things were you picking up, and are you taking mental notes to bring back to practice on your own as you get ready to go up to Penn State in the spring?
Yeah, just know my assignments, know when to line up at. Read my keys, the tackles, the running backs, the tight ends. Just knowing my job, doing what I'm supposed to do.
How was the transition? Because there's some stuff at the end of December, November. You've probably been asked this a couple of times, but what was the transition like, especially for you as a linebacker with Brent Pry, your former position coach, moving on to Virginia Tech? How did that transition go for you, and how did all of that kind of shake out around National Signing Day?
I knew Coach Pry, but I didn't really get to know the system and all that because I basically just committed when he left. So then it just was a complete flip over. I had to get into a new DC and learn his new system. So looking forward to the challenge.
So what have you been up to this offseason workout wise? What have you been working on to get ready? Because you mentioned you seem very business task oriented, want to get ready to be ready to play football next season. So what sort of stuff are you working on right now?
Power, explosion, working on getting my speed. I'm obviously fast, but you want to stay fast and even build on that. Stay strong, get stronger. That's it.
So I'm going to my next question. I'm going to set it up with an opinion first, and that is that your position, linebacker, I think, is one of the hardest positions in football right now when it comes to the physical demand of the position, and also the mental demand of the position and the way teams attack linebackers, especially college and the NFL. So I don't know that there's a more monumental task outside a quarterback as playing linebacker. And with that in mind, your development from your junior season to your senior season in that environment, I thought was one of the most impressive in the class of 2022 for Penn State football. And that includes 5 stars, 3 5-star players in this class, according to On3. I thought did as much to put yourself into that conversation with the way you played on the football field outside of your athletic talents as anybody else in this class. So first off, would you say that that's fair? And secondly, if so, what helped you take that step?
Throughout my whole grade school career, I was a running back. Freshman year of high school, played DN. Second year, outside linebacker. junior year was like my first year of really playing linebacker. Then my senior year, I think, is where I really like flourished all around. You get to see the build up, how much I've learned, how much I've grown, and it came full circle for me.
So you've kind of taken elements of all those other positions because part of your film is also being a pass rusher, something that you do really well outside of just the 2 sacks. You have multiple hits and pressures on the quarterback. So that versatility really came from playing all those other positions now wrapped up into what you're doing now. What sort of advantage do you think that gives you?
Gives me a great advantage. From playing offense, I apply that to when I'm pass rushing off the edge. Reading the offensive tackle, putting the move on them. It's the same thing as being on offense. Just flip the sides of the ball. It works like that.
So really, your junior season was your first time getting your feet wet at the linebacker position. What was the hardest thing for you to maybe not understand, but kind of get used to playing that position?
Definitely like reading your keys and reacting to the football and like making plays to get to the football faster. Like the running back is doing this or the tackle is doing this. You got to fill in that gap. You got to get there as soon as possible and make that play.
Yeah, and you could see it on your senior film. You're reading, you're attacking, you're getting downhill, getting to the ball, not just running to a spot, but also seeing where the ball is. When it comes to that part of it, how do you feel that your eyes help you as a football player?
I think it's everything because once you be able to like read that play, you get to play fast and play physical. And once you put that all together, the sky's the limit. You get to play fast, make plays, make those explosive plays that helps you win football games.
When it comes to coverage, what sort of stuff have you done at the high school level? What sort of responsibilities did your defensive coordinator place on you as a captain, as eventually the team MVP, in sort of calling the defense or setting coverages or anything like that? Did you have any of that on your plate last season?
Not as much. We play a team that's pretty much run oriented, but some teams they like to pass a lot. So, you got passing responsibilities. Just dropping back into space, covering the middle of the field, not letting anything come inside, anything outside. You call it out, you yell out, 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 in, making sure your teammates know what they're doing.
So you're a communicator on the field, I assume, based on that.
Yep.
How important is that, for not just for your position, but for you as on the field as far as communication? Because I saw on a couple of plays, you're checking with I don't remember if it was a slot receiver or a Sam linebacker outside, and then your Will. You guys are communicating. So how important was that to you to be effective on the football field?
It's really important because everybody needs a leader on the field. And once you point everybody, making sure everybody knows what they're doing, the team works like a well-run machine. Everybody know their job. Everybody know what they got to do. And it helps everybody stay together, play together, and you give up less explosive plays for the offensive team.
So when it comes to the position that you'll play going forward, what kind of conversations have you had with the defensive staff about which position you might play? And then is there any sort of conversation about that you've had so far?
Right now, I would say it's probably looking like I'm probably going to be playing the Mike position. Mm-hmm. But, wherever coach runs me, wherever he sees that I'm the best at, that's what I'm going to play, and I'm going to dominate at it.
So your athleticism jumps out on tape quite a bit. You blew up, I'd say. You were a highly recruited and highly visible prospect before you went to Penn State's camp last year, but you were the talk last season, running a 4.4 shuttle and a 4.5 40. Since then, have you? Because you said you were working on explosiveness and things like that. Have you bested any of those times? Anything you want to share with us?
I haven't PR'd yet, so I have no new official numbers, but I surely believe that my numbers is much better now.
When you're making those plays, so you say vision and then being explosive to the ball, is there something that you see when you want to trigger downhill? So you're reading your keys, but then there's always a play action. There's always a some sort of wrinkle in the offense. What are you looking at when it comes to seeing it and then knowing what you see?
Just knowing your opponent before the game, I think is very important. Watching film, knowing their tendencies. His hands in the ground. He's light on his hands now. The running back, he's looking at this way. When he takes the ball, his first step, knowing what he's reading, watching the tackles, the guards. When they block down, you get to shoot that gap and fill that hole. Just do your job.
So you watch a lot of film then?
Mm-hmm.
Do you watch outside of your opponents, do you watch other linebackers to kind of gain some knowledge?
Uh, That's all I do. Try to study the best and copy what they do or do better. Those guys like Darius Leonard, Fred Warner, Micah Parsons, try to study him a lot. And when I'm pass rushing, watch Von Miller, Khalil Mack. Watch the best of the best and, try to do what they do.
That is a terrifying combo of names, Darius Leonard and Von Miller. So, but I see what you're saying is like you in particular, versatility, have parts of that in your game. And Micah Parsons at Penn State had a lot of that, obviously, and has taken that to the NFL. Is that something that you are planning on doing when it comes to being a player at Penn State, being a threat at 3 levels of the defense? Is that something that you'd like to be in your career?
That's exactly what I want to be. I think that's what the NFL needs right now. I think that's the biggest thing in college right now, having that linebacker who can do all 3 things. They can cover the pass, they can stop the run, they can rush the passer, they can get you a forced fumble when you need it, punching the ball out. And those things win you football games.
So just a couple more questions when it comes to the on-the-field stuff. Where do you think that your game, you'll take the next step? So mentioned you just started learning the linebacker position your junior season. You played very well your senior season, taking on some, mature communication roles at the Mike linebacker position. Where do you think your game evolves next?
I think mentally, I got all the tools physically, but once you get the game mentally, knowing your opponent, knowing your job, just knowing everything around you, what everybody's doing, I think that's when your game goes to the next level.
What do you think? What do you think makes a good linebacker? I should rephrase that. What makes a great linebacker? Because there's a lot of good football players, and like I said, there's a lot of players in football right now at your position that play well, but there's a lot of things coming at you at that position. So what do you think makes a great player when it comes to being a linebacker?
Playing fast, knowing your keys, knowing your job, and just playing fast, getting to the ball, just making big plays, knowing your opponent, and being able to be the quarterback of the defense. I think, when everybody can depend on you to make the play, they get their juice off that. They feed off your energy. And being that good leader makes you win football games.
We're speaking with Abdul Carter, Salle College High School, 129th player in the nation according to On3, a 4-star prospect and a future Nittany Lion. What ultimately led you to choose Penn State? What, when you look back to, you said you committed around December. What was ultimately what made you decide to stay in state? Because I know you had a lot of offers from schools down south. South Carolina was big in your recruitment. What made you decide to stay in Pennsylvania?
Of course, Penn State, it's LBU. Linebackers come here, they get drafted. They send a linebacker, they make the best of the best. But ultimately, it was James Franklin. Just seeing his vision, what he's done. I think James Franklin he just secured it for me. Trusting in him, seeing how he worked, seeing how he worked with the families, the players, how they interacted. I think that ultimately led me to make this choice.
So I'm going to go ahead and say you seem like a very serious guy. You seem like you're very focused on these things, very committed to being good at football. But I want to talk about some fun stuff. Is that okay?
That's cool.
All right. So just some kind of get-to-know-you stuff for Penn State football fans as you're coming up to the next level. So a couple of just basic things. Do you have any siblings?
We got 4.
Got 4. Okay. So where are you in that order?
I am the second youngest.
Second youngest, not the baby, because let me tell you, when you're the baby, everyone calls you that for the rest of your life. So I just want you to know, coming from experience, you got lucky there.
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s, and my siblings still call me the baby of the family. What do you like to do for fun?
I like to play chess a lot. I'm a video gamer. I like to play video games. I like to go out, do stuff, bowling, arcade, whatever, ice skating, stuff like that.
Bowling. So I was talking to Lamont Payne a couple of weeks ago, and he and his friends are into bowling. Is bowling making a comeback? I didn't know this.
I think so, because once you get good at it, it's like you get this level of confidence. You just get to throw that ball, you hitting the strikes. Like,
do you get the spin on it? Do you get that like PBA spin where it gets to the edge?
You like to spin, make a curve, and hit the middle.
Oh man, That's so annoying. I've always wanted to be able to do that. I've never been able to get that spin on it, so that's pretty cool. So you said you play video games. What sort of video games do you play? Shooters, RPGs? Are you playing chess on Xbox? What are you doing?
So I go to chess.com where I play with my dad, play with friends, and video games, just NBA, 2K, Madden, Call of Duty, stuff like that.
What sort of hobbies do you have? You mentioned bowling. You mentioned playing chess. Is there anything else you do kind of as a developing a skill that's outside of football or outside of mental tactics?
Probably reading books, training your mind to read the books, knowing your stuff. Watching film. That's another hobby. I just watch film, try to study those great linebackers. Penn State linebackers, Wyatt Arrington, Michael Parsons, Navarro Bowman, all of them. Just trying to copy the best.
You and I have a similar hobby, but I get paid to do it, so I don't know if it's a hobby either. But that's pretty cool, man. That's a very focused individual in Abdul Carter. And last thing, coming to Penn State, what degree are you hoping to pursue?
Computer science. I think I want to get into cybersecurity. I think that's where the money at, to be honest. All that computer stuff.
I got to be honest. You're a linebacker. You're into firewalls. You're perfect, man. You are exactly who you seem to be. Very serious, into cybersecurity and tackling people. That's awesome. Thanks, Abdul.
No problem.
One last thing. I want to make sure we get out of here on this. Make sure everyone knows your social media channels. I know I have them up on here on screen, but where can people follow you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at Abdul Carter, but when you spell Abdul, the L is with a 1. And on Twitter, you can follow me at ab22.j, or you can search that as Abdul Carter, and it'll pop up. All
right, Abdul Carter, 4-star linebacker in the class of 2022, a guy that Penn State fans are very excited to get to campus, want to see in the future, and an awesome guy to talk to. Abdul, thanks so much for coming on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We'll be back tomorrow with the BWI Daily Edition. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, right here on YouTube. I'm your host, Thomas Frank Carr. We'll talk to you tomorrow.